they bought back their Queen of Pain and their Tusk, and they end up with kind of a draw in that fight. And aggressive. In this tournament, we've generally seen him play very controlled aggression, where he knows his limits about how far he can push it. This time he just went way overboard, blinked into a very easy fissure from Moon Meander, and he didn't even get a single spell off before he died there.
I'm a brawler in his
It's arrived.
Gotta be careful.
The 20-minute Aghanim Scepter to come into Miracle. That's on top of his Blink Dagger as well as Solar Crest. But he'll be passed to the Tiny in 8 seconds' time. Also a big item for Moon. He's got that Blink Dagger, so it's... The initiation is looking so good for OG.
I'm thinking what we might see here will be kind of similar to the game before this one, eHome versus LGD in game number 2, where all LGD needed to do was focus down the Leshrac so hard, and there was no other damage source. It's essentially the same kind of style that OG have set up now, that they've put so much damage and so much emphasis on their Tiny, that if CDEC can find a way of locking him down and controlling him, which their Viper, for example, is great at, and they definitely have the tools at their disposal. He went for a Midas, by the way, building into Treads now. And I think it's an axe game for Viper.
See, that's where I wonder if you've really got enough. As long as Crit holds himself back, you can relocate save Tiny out. So you commit everything onto the Tiny, which is very difficult to do. Like, you're not going to be able to find that burst damage. It's a Viper. Like, you're not looking at burst damage from him. With the Orchid Sonic Wave from Queen of Pain, with Scream, even that is not going to drop Tiny down low enough.
Dire's middle tower.
I'm just questioning if the full focus strat, I can understand the point behind it, but if it's going to be enough to get the kill.
I think Broodmother will be the key to do this. If XC goes for the kind of build that we've seen from Mag in the past on Brood, where he goes for BKB and then into Deso and perhaps either a Daedalus or a Cuirass, the Broodmother starts hitting really hard. This ultimate gives 120 damage on level 3. So the damage output you can have in these fights if you're free to go is extremely high. And that's one thing OG lack in their draft. They don't have a BKB counter.
It's true. Okay, CDEC really need to get a Monkey King bar. Like, you might be talking about the Aghanim's game for the Viper, but you've already got a Solar Crest on the Alchemist, and now you're getting a Butterfly build arriving for Notail.
Yeah, it's for sure that OG will be looking toward Roshan soon. They keep sending in Spiderlings here for CDEC, but it's just a matter of a few seconds OG need to be off the radar to be able to claim this with, of course, the Acid Spray, Notail's massive damage output going into that Butterfly. And they can even use the Undying Ultimate Flash Golem to help out, and the Tombstone. Plenty of options for OG. They just need to get their lanes under control.
Okay, aggressive, chip it away at Notail. Doesn't want to take that risk of Notail blinking forward, so needs to also keep that Shadow Strike out. It's too easy for that Queen of Pain to die at the moment. She's not walking around with an easy buffed up Aghanim set that was gifted to her, so she has to do it the old-fashioned way.
And you look at the economy, you're thinking, okay, this Tiny is ridiculously big, right? He's been pulled an Aghanim Scepter. He has 8 kills, 23 minutes in. This is the kind of stereotypical game where right now OG are ahead by 10,000 gold. In a lot of their previous matches they've played with Tiny, especially in online tournaments, they're 1,500 gold ahead. They've sacrificed the Alchemist for it, and CDC are out farming them.
They're actually behind in experience too. Like, that's almost up to 3,000 going the way of CDEC. So OG, like, the way they win with this game, with this lineup, is just by being really aggressive. You push down through the tier 2, tier 3 towers, and you force CDEC to fight you in an unfavorable position. And the Tiny, you're still running a 3-blink lineup. Fly's about to complete up this mech of his. And with an Aegis of the Immortal also in the hands of, I don't even want to give it to the Tiny at this point. You almost want to give it to somebody else, because Tiny is just so damn big already. But they are going to give it to Notail. I'm wondering how CDEC really fight this. Like, maybe the option is just don't.
Yeah.
Just split push the entire time.
They just need to delay the game a bit. They went for a Midas on Viper. That sets a very clear game plan for you where you're not interested in fighting. They're closing in on the BKB on Brood. If you're OG, on the other hand, you want to find a way of activating your Alchemist now. You went for this Blink fight-oriented build with Solar Crest and pulling the Ags over. Miracle has to find a way to become a threat as well.
Well, how does he do that?
But it's hard to get out on the map.
Like, what build do you go for at this point? Do you still go back into your old Radiance build when you're 24 minutes into the game?
I don't think so. That's the build if OG want to slow the game down, but if that was their game plan in the first place, you should have got it earlier.
OG are doing OG things. They're building for early game. It looks like it's going to be a Vladimir's offering as his next major item. So it's all about the group up, push together as OG. They want to end this game before we hit 40 minutes. That's the goal right now for OG. If these Spirelings wait a little bit longer, they're actually trying to kill off Crit. They may get the Courier, and the Courier goes to the tree line. That's got the rest of the Butterfly on it. And the fact they just send the Courier back now, OG.
Very good awareness here from OG saving that Courier.
It's probably Crit working it out.
Well,
might also be worth picking up a gem as well.
That was what I was going to say.
I'm sorry, Sind.
It's a bit surprising that they're not getting a gem. OG, I think, are in a position right now where they feel pretty confident and comfortable with the way the game is going. They obviously can't see the graphs. If they could, they might be a little more worried. But in this position, if you want to play aggressive, you need to get rid of these wards and find a way for your Tiny to get into the fights. But they keep letting the Spiderlings split push. They keep giving CDEC more map control than I think they need to give them right now.
It's kind of funny when you say things like that, because you look at OG's lineup, and the Wisp is still fairly strong. So why don't you just throw the Wisp and Tiny onto one lane and push with the other three? And split CDEC up. Tiny starts attacking now into the mid lane. Notail actually gonna be careful. The shards have blocked him in the tree area, and he may just burn this Aghanim model without anything. The Fissure keeping Q off. And actually, it looks like he will be okay with Crit arriving. OG took a little longer to get there, and maybe that's one of the reasons why. Get isolated for a little bit, and that Tiny not as tanky as you think. And in fact, are they gonna, yep, it's gonna be a relocate. They're going up to top lane. They're looking for that kill over on Shiki. Shiki just attacking into the IO straight away, but the damage output, Crit needs a little bit more regeneration. But it looks like it'll end up being a 1-for-1 trade, but it's the Viper for a Wisp. So favorable for OG.
Yes and no. Yeah, they kill a core, right? Most of the time you would say, okay, they traded a core for support, that's a bad trade. But with Wisp off the field and relocate down, it opens up options for CDEC to explore the map a little bit now and try to get some control out.
See, the concern I then have is the way OG can get even more is the fact now they can push. The Vlad's is done.
That is true. There's a tier 1 top, yeah. They'll probably get more out of this then.
And the Brood hasn't got enough momentum. XC's farming up Ancients at the moment. There's no split push coming out. The tier 1 tower still alive for OG on the bottom lane. And Notail, it doesn't take him long to beat through towers like this.
Well, CDEC look like they don't want to let him have it for free. They want to burn at least the Aegis.
Well, they will be able to do that. Notail cleaning up most of the way before that, and aggressive. Actually triggers his BKB after the Aegis Immortal's gone. Concoction not being prepped just yet by the Alchemist. And in fact now, well, Notail, how much damage has he got? The rest of OG, they're coming in. Here's your Concoction start onto aggressive, combining with the Echo Slam, follow-up Fissure, aggressive as well as Garda. They're going to die almost instantly. The Glimmercake keeps Garda alive on sub 20 life, but OG's already found the 2 kills. Notail surviving after the Aegis burn. Garda will TP out safely, but Shiki's in more trouble. The chase keeps coming from OG. They're all on that Viper. 3 heroes down, the 3 cores for CDEC. And this is on top of now the tier 1 and soon to be tier 2 tower.
Yeah, this could be Rax. It is Rax. Like, what are you going to do? You've lost your 3 cores for 30 seconds against a Tiny this big already. I think it's going to take some absolutely miraculous play out of these 2 supports for CDEC to defend the base right now. If OG are just they're actually gonna go back. They're scared of the buyback, so
it's
CDEC get away. They don't get away with murder, but they could have been killed way harder.
And they're just going for the safe. They understand they can pick up their new items. They get back to their farm. There's no reason to give CDEC a way back into this. You finish now that Moonshot on the Tiny. He hits so quick, so hard.
Yeah, that's without overcharge right there. It's pretty scary. I want to point out about that fight. Aggressive, like you mentioned, he popped his BKB early. He was scared of getting comboed by Tiny, so it is understandable. But then the bigger mistake in that fight from him is that he didn't get Sonic Wave off. He got a little bit greedy. He wanted to wait until more heroes grouped up, and then his BKB expired. And when he was about to Sonic Wave, Moon immediately identifies the opening, goes in for a great 2-hero Echo Slam follow-up, and they just clean up the fight from there.
There's also such patience from OG. The fact that Tiny was down so far away from the rest of his team. After the Aegis Immortal goes, he finds himself moving towards the Radiant base. And OG, they waited so long. That's why I look towards Miracle. I'm like, okay, it should be Concoction Blinking now, right? No, it's a 5 to almost 10-second wait, letting the Tiny tank up any more of the control that CDEC had. And in fact, Tiny, it looks like we're going to be building into what I can only assume is a Satanic for him. There's no reason to have a casual Morbid Mask. See, can they even kill him? You don't have the
Mask of Madness?
No.
What's his attack speed right now? It's 312 with the tether without overcharge. So with overcharge, it's... Is that about almost 400? I don't think Mask of Madness is that good. But he might just keep the mask and get another item. He could go into a BKB if he thinks it's worth it. It's probably not the choice in this game, so maybe you just keep the Morbid Mask and you get a damage item first, and then Satanic later.
That's an option. But he might also want to have that strength of the Satanic now.
Oh, it's definitely a good item.
Blink up, XZ. There's no detection.
No gem.
The question is asked again, where is the gem for OG? It's like pocket change to an Alchemist. But then again, Miracle has sacrificed himself so hard in this game. But he's still sitting at the second highest net worth on the field. Obviously dwarfed by this 22,000 net worth Tiny.
Fissure from Moon Meander tried to steal a little bit away there. I think he got 2 Spiderlings. Something.
Worth it.
I mean, why not?
Looks like OG's going to group up again.
It's a very clear game plan, though, here from CDEC. They've got 3 BKBs, they've got a Glimmer Cape on the Tusk, and of course the Wyvern is a great pick against Tiny in general. All that physical damage you can block with Embrace, you can curse him to his IO, or vice versa is generally better than Tiny just kills IO very easily. Speaking of that, the IO and Tiny find a very easy kill on the Broodmother. Was that that was without detection?
It was underneath an Observer Ward. He was farming up the camp and then they just moved over. Like, it wasn't even a relocate. You've still got that Blink Dagger on Tiny, so you reveal yourself a little bit, and you just get popped. And really, would CDEC think there's going to be an Observer Ward up there? OG are taking so many frontal towers, you'd expect there to be dire Observer Wards all over the front lines, up on top of that cliff, looking towards the secret shop, over on the bottom cliff, looking into the Radiant jungle. It's... that little defensive ward almost at the end of its life does its work for OG.
And I actually think killing Brood is a big deal. It's a bigger deal than in a lot of other games because he's one of the key single target heroes that CDEC need to deal the damage to Tiny. So until he gets a damage item, we saw in the previous fight, it just took him so long to lay into the Tiny, and that was even without IO being there for an overcharge to help him out. So he might be the biggest kill they can find right now, better than Viper or Queen of Pain.
I love how OG are capable of scouting out wards, but they're incapable of killing them off. You've only got one range hero in the entire of the OG lineup, and that is the IO. And putting him in a place of jeopardy to get rid of that ward they just found inside the Radiant jungle, yeah, no. But OG, who cares about vision when you can just push that Roshan? He does this. He's meant to be a boss, but he's looking like a kitten.
They have AC as well on Miracle. I think Notail's attack speed was 408. So that's pretty fast.
It is.
And the way he just dealt with Roshan is about half of that is how he's going to deal with your tier 3 tower.
And if they give Notail, like, this creep wave and the next one on bottom lane, then into the tier 2 tower on bottom 2, which doesn't take long, that Satanic may be done before OG try and push high ground. In fact, what's coming on the Courier, I take it back, it's already done. He already had the recipe on the Courier, just near the 3200. So not only does he have the Satanic, but there's also buyback for the Tiny.
This is the true test for CDEC. If they can defend this, they have a chance in the game, but it could end right here.
Well, aggressive starts with the Orchid. Tiny doesn't care though, like, you still got that Aegis the Immortal. The creep wave does go down very quickly, however, so that's one good clearance, but I don't think Notail really cares. He jumps forward. Miracle stays close enough that the Assault Cuirass has the effect on the tower, which makes this push from Tiny even more effective. And now he goes in again. They keep burning their Orchids to try and chip away at this Tiny, but he really just does not give 2 hoots. There goes your tier 3 tower, and aggressive getting stunned by the Fissure. He just gets cleaved apart. The Tuskar will snowball himself in, but Miracle, he's there for the stun, and Notail finally the Fissure will get out of there so he can start attacking onto new targets. But okay, he just finds Q. The Cold Embrace will protect him from the physical damage, but they isolate Shiki, tossing him up, done to a turn. OG, they get even a perfect Fissure on XZ as well as Q. to. There's nowhere to run to. They actually get the Gem of True Sight that's been dropped. They're going to have all the vision in the world. Notail can't buy more, and they're going for the GG push. They won't wait, and the GG comes out from CDEC. They say no more. Tiny be too strong.
CDEC willingly gave away that IO, thinking they could beat the IO Tiny.